Yeah, and there was overtime.
We're
That
gonna
was
go
billed,
into
which the-
non-public
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
to talk about that, because I went through a lot of that, a lot of questions.
Okay.
It might mean talking about certain people.
Hello, all right, this is Dave Lundin. I am calling the Ware Parks and Recs Commission meeting to order for 10/10 of '23. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We see we have two gentlemen in the room. Are you here for Ware Parks and Rec, or are you here? Awesome. Well, we're now on to public comments, whichever one of you two want to go together. Are you together or
Yeah,
separate?
we're both here together.
Okay.
I heard that you guys want to take over 158 East Road,
Could I, just for the sake of the
Raymond
minute?
Banks,
Oh,
the
okay.
third. And Raymond Banks, Raymond Banks is here. Jimmy Brown is here also.
Okay.
Hi. Did you say junior, so junior, senior?
No,
Oh,
No, junior and the third.
the third, okay. Thank you.
everybody all set?
Yep.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah.
I heard that you guys want to change the structure of that field that is abutting my property on 158 East Road.
We are in the process of figuring out how the deed is set up
The
and,
deed is set up that is for 4-H. Anything behind the tree line is for soccer fields.
Okay.
okay, because that's part of the thing, we don't know what it is. And so what do you mean by 4-H? What is 4-H allowed to do on it?
Anything that has to do with cattle, anything to do with farming,
Okay,
there's hiking,
Agricultural.
agricultural.
So just to back up, and so there's been no decisions made.
We're just putting it in writing right now.
Yeah, that's
We
fine.
sold the property to you.
Yep.
So we know what in that bill.
Okay, cool.
So
So
we,
if you guys wanna sell that piece of property back to me, I'd greatly buy that piece of property in the front field back.
so let me just tell you what has been done so far. There was a walkthrough done by the Parks and Rec Commission, the Board of Selectmen, and the Department of Public Works, because they have been doing gravel removal on that property.
Correct.
To look at the potential of expanding athletic fields for so just let me finish, so you can comment. We were approached by the Ware Athletic Club along with the Generals football program. The growth of the program has made it difficult for them to be able to schedule as many fields as they need to.
They don't even use all the fields
So,
that they.
well, so what we did is because I did some of the research for this committee, I went to the town, I pulled all the documents. I went to the state, I pulled all the documents. We went back to the Warren article, we pulled the Warren article, we pulled the vote, and we pulled the public comment. And we,
Didn't notify the abutters.
well, we haven't done anything yet. And all we did was did the research so that we could, with, with from a legal standpoint, what can we do with that property?
You guys gave me a $2,500 bill for friggin' moving the gates,
So-
which you said that were never there.
So, one of the things that we discovered, because I think I think many folks thought that the whole property was in conservation. After the state did some research on that property, the property is not in conservation, although parts of it should have been, because it was voted by a Warren article. So the Board of Selectmen have sent all of the information that's been gathered to the town legal counsel to determine legally what can be done with the property based on the vote, all the documents, the sales, the warranty, deeds, the fiduciary deeds, all of those things. So right now, it's in the hands of the legal counsel for the town of
So what do you
Ware.
guys want back for that piece of property, and I'll give you another one?
That's not our,
That's not
that's
our-
not our,
I'm gonna jump in a little bit. This is public comment. This is a big surprise to all of us. Usually, at least what we'll do in the selectmen's meetings is, you know, the board would not be responding as much
Okay.
as this. I think this is a worthy agenda topic, but that means we need to be prepared for the kind of things that you're interested in knowing. I think Denise was able to pull a lot of it from memory, fortunately. But there's also usually a 5-minute time limit, where you can say your piece. I totally appreciate your frustrations, but those are the kind of questions that we can't and will normally not answer.
Do you actually have what was written, what was in the original bill of sale on that?
Dave, I have, that's on our agenda for tonight. I presented all of that to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
And the Board of Selectmen, really, it's in their hands at this point.
okay.
They voted to move that on to legal.
Also,
Yeah, so,
Okay, okay.
I mean, I really think that's where we leave it at this point.
So, under the park and rec, are you guys taking care of the cemeteries?
No.
Because I had a branch come down off and hit my car
That's
windshield.
the
broke it.
cemetery commission, so that'd be something
which
different.
has been, right now, that the positions are unfilled and the board of selectmen are handling it.
So who's in charge of getting the fence fixed that's down, and our insurance company is telling us if we don't get it fixed, that it's gonna be dropped?
Right now, again, this is another thing that,
I'm just asking for the right people,
Yep.
because this can's been kicked down the road
Yep,
what
for
many
sure.
times.
It's been reported for over a month.
More than a month.
For what, Naomi,
okay,
and there's a hole there, the kids can get in, it's over 6 feet deep,
okay,
and it's against the law to have a hole anywhere without a ladder in it and a fence around it.
okay, I can appreciate that. Again, this is news to me. This is kind of the nature of public comment. I can't give you, and I'm a single individual who happens to be a selectman, but sitting in my park ex officio role, so I can't speak for the board, but I can say, okay, I've heard you, you said that our town administrator, I'm not gonna throw you in the bus, you just walked in. But she's, you know, been aware of it, okay, that's good information, and I can follow up on that. So if you could just let me know what property is that, I wanna write it all down.
38 Buzzell Hill Road.
38 Buzzell Hill Road.
And it's in that cemetery. And the kids, they got kids that run, the school kids come in there and run around in there.
And then specifically, you
And
said
that's been there since, that was where they used to take gravel out of there. Actually, when Buddy Phelps was road agent, back in, that's before Buzzell Hill Road, you couldn't put plow down to it. That was in
60s.
Yeah, early 60s.
the 60s.
And they gone ahead and filled the stone culvert, plugged it up, so it's just trickling. And it's making a wet zone on our property also.
Okay.
But I can tell you
And that
what's on,
same property?
on.
What's that?
Same
on
property?
that,
Same property.
So that sounds like
My lawyer
something,
did it, so,
It was
I
a little
can
bone
tell you.
tasker.
Yeah, like I said, we pulled all the documents, and it's been sent to the town legal counsel. So there's absolutely nothing we can make any decisions on
I'm
at
just
this
trying
point.
to-
It will come down to what the legal counsel says, the land, you know, all of that. And then from there, it still would have a long ways to go.
yeah, well, but Sweeney did all the surveying.
Yep. We pulled all the tax maps, all those documents have been sent over to,
So myself, that was the surveying, and, but Sweeney was on the board.
Back then.
yeah.
But they can't do anything in there until they get the gravel out. That's what's in the deed.
No, it was a 10-year.
Huh?
There was a 10-year limit.
Yeah.
That the gravel had to be out of there by.
Because the fields, they got lent money from the highway fell through. To put the field in, they couldn't come up with it, so I gave them $50,000.
Yep.
So,
Okay, well, we appreciate your comments, and
And like I said before, I think it's a worthy thing to have on the agenda so that we can be better prepared to answer your questions. So-
Yep, I mean, if you guys wanna take our phone numbers so we can keep in contact,
And it may
it'd
be,
gladly be assistance to let you guys know what,
So
where
here-
it is,
or if you need boundary markers or whatnot,
it
or.
may be worthwhile to, because we have already, spent the money, we'll get the answer back from town council. We don't have a time frame on that, so whichever meeting follows are actually getting information back. Because I
So
think,
will
I
the
think it's scheduled
abutters,
you.
will
and
the
then-
abutters actually be notified?
Well, depending, I mean, we
Well, I
may
don't
hear
mean-
back, we may
yeah,
hear
well-
back that, hey, there's nothing you can do with this as a town. Like, okay, that may be the answer.
Legal might look at it and say it's, nothing you can do.
and if, let's just say if legal looked at it and said you have legal right to take X number of acres for athletic fields, because it does, the Warren article does address athletic fields.
Right, behind the tree line.
Then, yeah, it would, it would be part of a discussion at this meeting, it would be on our agenda, which is posted every month. The selectmen, a warrant article would have to be crafted, there'd be public hearings on that, public vote on that, so there, long ways
So
to
you guys
go.
looking at putting lights out there too?
No, we have, there's not even a plan on a piece of paper. It's just the town of Ware has asked Parks and Rec to address the need for additional athletic fields and what properties in town are available. That was one of several properties we did a walkthrough on.
Cause you guys own 90 acres just beside
Yep,
it.
and we looked at that also. We pulled the tax maps for that also. So this is just we're at a point where we're looking at how we meet the needs of the youth in the town for athletic fields on various properties that are not in conservation and that are available for use.
Okay,
So that's really all where we're at this point.
Good enough.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
All
thank you
right,
so much, gentlemen, for coming in.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, you already give us your numbers?
Yeah.
Or do you want to write them on
Oh.
here, just write them on a piece of paper, that way,
yeah.
just write them on the back here, that way. And then we'll give them to you.
We don't typically call people though to come in, so it would be just to, come to the meeting is fine, to show up for a meeting.
Right,
But
We'll give them a courtesy.
it'll be on the,
I
I'm not
mean,
gonna commit to a courtesy call.
the-
No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if you guys need information about it,
Yeah.
or to help you better understand what's
Yeah.
going on.
Sure.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what we would love. We'd
That's
love
what
that.
we're just trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John
absolutely.
LeBeau was the lawyer that did it.
Yeah.
And he's the top lawyer in the state.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great for you to show up, it's just, I'm not necessarily gonna be able to call everybody to let them know that
Yep.
we're, yeah.
That's perfectly fine, ma'am, I'm just trying to
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
assist you guys if there's something that comes up
Yeah, and that
that we
knowing,
can further help you with or whatnot.
yeah, and knowing about the deed is definitely helpful for us.
And like I said, if you guys find that that piece of property ain't gonna work for you, I'd gladly transfer another piece of property that I have.
Thank you, gentlemen, you guys have a great
Thank you
day.
very much.
All right,
Thank you.
With regards to your, so I wrote down your cemetery, the 38 Pleasantville Road issues. Additionally, it would be helpful if you email board members at their.nh.gov and list the issues out.
right.
We have other, DPW looking at tree trimming around other cemeteries, and maybe able to roll all of it together.
Yeah, because if you
Cancel.
go down Mother Hill Road, those
Huh?
tombstones are gonna be all laid over. They're all dead,
Yeah.
every single one of them. Cost me $100, but, all right.
Thank you, have a
Thank
good
you
night.
very much.
Guys,
Nice
have
to
a good
meet you.
You too.
All right, Sophia Lundin is at senior night, so she will be here, so we will put her comment on, and we'll grab her when she comes in, and we'll jump back to her. Do we have September meeting minutes?
Yep, Pam sent them out to all of us a week and a
I-
half, 2 weeks ago.
I don't remember it.
I had one change that I sent to her in relation to when we talked about UT Play replacing the enclosure around the sandbox. She listed the amount as $4,600. I asked her to break that out. The timbers themselves are $2,400, and that's what we would purchase. The installation was $3,400, but that was for them to do it, and they're out of state. So it was recommended that if we were to move forward with that, we would look for a local purchasing of the sand and installation, which would reduce that. So I asked her to just make that change,
Okay.
but otherwise, I didn't see anything else.
I haven't read them, so I don't have time this week.
So
Wanna
are we
move
gonna,
to accept them then?
I'm
With
just
the-
gonna abstain, but you guys can accept
I was
them.
out sick for that meeting, I can't.
Okay,
Can we wait till next month? I apologize, I haven't read them yet.
okay. Well, we will then we'll wait till approving September minutes till we get Pam back and we can get to reading them. On to tennis courts and the crack filling.
so I have done some cracks. There's still a lot more to do. I'm not gonna get them done by myself
Okay,
before the season's over. I've tried to gather somebodies to help, and I just haven't been able to, nobody's had any time. So I have the bucket of sand filler, and I've been working away at it when
Okay.
I can. We did, myself and 2 other people did a lot of trimming of the bushes away from the fence. The trees and bushes had encroached into the fence. A lot of debris dropping on the new surface. So we've cut most of that back.
okay,
I've talked to Jason at the DPW. He said when we got done, they would come pick it up.
okay,
Hopefully, the amount that we cut will last a couple of years. It's a lot of vines that just go out and encroach on the fence. And then we need to set a date for when we're gonna pull the nets and lock the gates for the winter.
What are you thinking for a date?
I don't know, I mean, the hasn't been bad. Do we push it out to at least the beginning of November?
I think so.
okay,
I think we did it in November last year.
yeah,
So maybe the first or second week in November?
okay.
I think we have to set a date like we did last time. You know,
look at
pick a
the
day where we
calendar.
can all get together and take down all the,
On the zoning is upstairs.
You don't look familiar.
November,
Are you here for zoning? Or are you here for Parks and Rec?
Zoning.
Zoning is upstairs in the conference room.
Yep, Tony was right again.
so, November 4th or November 11th, maybe the 11th?
The 11th is Veterans Day weekend, so that'll probably be a longer weekend.
Okay, well, what about the 18th?
No, the 11th is fine, it just say that it's,
Okay.
is that a Saturday?
The 11th is a Saturday. I'm semi-non-committal, like I'll do it as long as I'm here. But I don't think that we're going, but the problem is Eva's got college stuff that's popping up right now, so there's visits and that kind of thing. Zoning or Parks and Rec?
I'm just making sure there's nobody else for zoning.
Oh, okay, perfect.
yep, we're keep setting them up.
So I think, again, we just need to make a list of the things that have to come down. We have to have a time at which we can get together and get this stuff down. We've got,
Can we try for the 11th,
okay,
or do you want to try for the 4th?
so the 11th of November, starting first thing in the morning, say 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
because we have the tennis court nets, we have the canopies at Bolton.
Can we check with, we need to check with football. And
For
just
what?
and make sure football's not there.
We can remove the canopies without,
Okay,
Good enough.
it just gonna be tough parking if football's down there, that's all.
they'll have to move for us. We did that last time. We were like, sorry, you gotta get out of the way. When I was there, it was fine. They have to let Parks and Rec get in, that's all.
Right, well, they'll let us in, it just, how many extra cars are in there, it just makes,
Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
mean,
we'll see.
it is what it is.
On the tennis courts, how much stuff how many people could fill cracks at the same time?
6, 7, 8, I mean,
Because I know I know that the Boy Scouts are always looking for service hours and service projects, that we may be able to help get some of them to help us, especially on like that type of stuff. It just isn't gonna be warm enough. I know it's supposed to rain again this weekend, so that kinda takes out the weekend.
I would worry with the tennis courts having, that age kids doing it. I think it needs to be an
Well,
adult thing.
somebody-
I don't know, that's my,
I mean, I would have to be there to supervise it,
Somebody
because
has to
you
be
have to fill and wash. You cannot leave any of that sand on the court.
yeah,
It's a very tedious process.
yeah.
The problem that we're having right now is you have to have temps above 55.
Yeah, and getting them
For
to
48
schedule anything
hours.
is rough.
So I don't even know if I'll be able to get any more done. I was able to get one side of the tennis courts, the small cracks that are on the playing surface.
Okay.
So
Not the other parts.
not the others, I didn't finish the other side, and the big cracks that are not in the playing surface, I've just not made it a priority because they're not in the playing surface. Best I could do, but I've got
Okay.
like one half the court done.
Okay. Well, then let's move on to skate park. There's nothing new on the skate park. I know he's still working on his Eagle project. Last I knew, he was doing the fundraising. Whether that goes in this fall, late this fall, or I'd almost rather prefer it sit somewhere undercover until March or April. So it's not just sitting out in a brand-new thing, sitting buried under snow, would be my
Do
only thing.
we schedule them to come back for updates?
Nope.
I think Janine sent an email. We do have a thank you note from them. Parks and Rec, Chase Park staff. Thank you for allowing our Boy Scout troop to hold, this is some troop meetings at your park. Your staff has been so kind, and we really appreciate having a nice place to hold our water activities. P.S. If there's anything you need, please let us know. So it's from his mom, but it's really from the troop, but it's addressed from his mom, so it was a different thing, sorry.
Okay,
But it was a nice little thank you note.
okay. And we have no new field
I
usage?
think Janine reached out to him but we haven't heard back, so. We don't have any field usage requests.
Okay.
no.
On to Bolton, it looks like we do have the PAC coming in on the 24th to do cleanup, so they'll do, if we have anything, we may want to try to tag it or do something that says, hey, can you do this or do that?
Pulling those weeds would be really great. We've had some communication on our Facebook Messenger from some people who said they were gonna probably come tonight, who didn't come tonight. So they might have gotten busy. So I was expecting them to be here tonight, actually. But we've communicated a little bit back and forth over Messenger about that. I think if the Boy Scouts can pull those weeds, that'd be really helpful. But there are some parents who are noticing the same things that we've been noticing for the last 3 or 4 years, that we're trying to get these things done. The bark mulch, needing more mulch. And then unless you're on Parks and Rec, you probably don't know that we have to have the specific playground mulch, and it's thousands of dollars for the amount we need.
So I reached out after the last meeting per the request of the commission to Naomi.
Yeah.
So 2 things. The current contract with the towns, with Stockhouse for the
Yep.
town, goes through 2024. So there isn't the
Is
opportunity.
it through 2024 or is it till
It-
April?
I believe, my understanding was that it was gonna be negotiated in 2024 for the next.
Perfect, okay.
So 2024 would not be covered.
Oh, okay, because usually it starts in April usually.
Well, so it may be that it's starting in April of 2025.
Okay.
So anyways, Naomi did mention that we could potentially add a separate contract to have Stockhouse do that, but it can't be put into the existing contract.
Okay.
So I think as we look at our budget for next year, and I don't know if we could reach out to him and ask him what the cost would be for them to maintain within the fencing at the playground to keep weeds and overgrowth up. Then we could talk about whether or not it's something we could add to our budget. And then have it incorporated into the new contract when they negotiate it.
Okay, so we can ask her, because we asked about this before.
Ask who?
Naomi,
I
about
did.
adding it.
I
Yeah.
did.
So, can we go ahead and do it?
We cannot add it until the new contract.
Okay.
In the meantime, we have the opportunity to create a contract to do that area.
Yeah,
But when the negotiations occur for the next contract, then yes, it all could be added in. So we either go a whole nother year without any cleanup in that area being done, or we find out how much it would cost in 2024 to have him during the summer months maintain the weeds and growth and inside the fence of the playground, and then we just put it in our budget.
yeah. I can call him and ask.
Yes, so if you could do that, then when we got to talking about our budget, we could add that. I also spoke to her about wood chips and if we are required legally to have playground grade wood chips in there. And she was going to check with legal.
Okay.
I did email her Monday to see if she'd heard anything.
Yeah.
She's been out of the office until tomorrow.
Okay.
As soon as I hear something, because I did mention the snowmobile club is having a whole bunch of wood chips dropped off down there for their trails. And boy, if we didn't have to have playground grade, we could ask them to drop off additional
Yep.
wood chips and then maybe use those and save a lot of money.
I'm pretty sure that the other ones are dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that that's the reason. There's a specific grade for playgrounds. Because I know the schools aren't allowed to use anything but the playground ones either.
Right, that's why I thought if
Because
we could get,
usually, like, they're some of the bigger chunks, they're just throwing everything through the chipper, and the chipper's not really grinding it small enough to be able to, it's letting some of the bigger pieces float through, which on a snowmobile trail,
right, and maybe that's not the right, but even wood chips that weren't playground grade would be less money if we weren't required to
If we're not
have-
required, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just asked Naomi if she would get a legal opinion.
hi, you here for zoning or for
Zoning.
zoning? They got it, they're upstairs in the
Upstairs?
conference room.
So just specifically on Stockhouse, so asking him about upkeeping, weeds out of the interior playground area, and then how far of a perimeter around the outside fence?
Think a perimeter enough that the weeds aren't gonna grow through the fence and,
So maybe like, say, 3 feet away from
Yeah.
the fence?
6 feet.
We need to agree on what we're asking. Because you're talking, 6 feet's double the amount we're talking about, because that's a big area outside of that
That
fence.
starts hitting that hill, 6 foot would hit the hill on the south side of it. 3 seems reasonable.
Mine 3 feet.
Is everybody okay with that, if I ask about that? I just wanna make sure I'm being specific. Because once he does it once, he's probably not gonna have to do it again all season.
maybe in the beginning of the season and then again at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe beginning and end of season.
Okay. And how are we doing on the gates locked? Is the DPW or the police taking care of that?
No, they're not being locked yet.
Okay.
Has anybody made them aware?
I did not, I haven't talked to them recently. The last time I talked to them about it was a while ago, so I will give a call about that.
But we're almost getting to the end of the, you know, we're
We're gonna be locking.
gonna be locking it another 3 or 4 weeks anyway.
Yeah, I think we have to, there's
So I
some,
think, didn't we say December 1st? I thought we said last meeting we were doing like December 1st.
it wasn't DPW, it was police, right?
Right.
It was PD.
So we're gonna close and lock December 1st through April 30th, so no vehicles are allowed.
Yep.
So we have about 6 more weeks when it will be permanently locked.
Yep.
I don't wanna retread, like, I wasn't here for the discussion, so I'm curious. I don't wanna, redo the whole thing, but what went into the April 30th?
When the fields are, typically ready
Snow
for,
melted, able to get past. Thinking that's too late.
We use it for the playground.
Yeah.
If it was
people will
little light.
still be able to walk in for the playground. It's when the fields
Yeah,
are
is it
starting.
Zoning?
down? Or is it like?
Partway down.
Sir, zoning is upstairs in the conference room.
We did talk about that, we did,
Might be like a sketch comedy routine.
Yeah.
we did talk about that and really wanted to be sure that, with the wet spring,
Sure.
cars driving in, the condition of the road, kids out on the field, all of that, trying to just protect until everything snow was gone and melted. Doesn't mean that if we had an early spring, we couldn't come back and
Open it.
talk about it and open it sooner. I think we were just trying to give ourselves enough time to have everything
Yeah.
melted and dry.
That makes sense.
All right, I think you talked a little bit about the utility play and the
Yeah.
fencing and
I don't-
all that. Is there anything more on that?
No, and I think based on current budget issues, I don't see us fixing the playground before winter. So we have the quote for the timbers. We know what it's gonna cost us, and we'll have that for next year. One thing I know, the individuals who are going back and forth on social media about the playground also posted some pictures of a lot of broken toys in the sandbox area. And I don't think we have to address it tonight, but maybe in the future. Pretty much all of the toys that are in the sandbox area are brought in by the public
Yeah.
and left there.
Yep.
And then when they get broken, they get left there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we might wanna talk in the future, do we wanna have signage that says, you have to bring toys in, take them home, rather than just leaving them there? I think that's part of the problem, I know.
And a big issue, I think, for some reason, when Janine and I were there, before we were ever on this board, we used that playground all the time with our kids. And when we used the playground, we pulled weeds, and we threw away the broken toys, and we brought new toys if that, we found them at a thrift store or something. Or we brought our own and then they went home with us, like, for whatever things have stopped being that way. It wasn't just us either, it was like everybody that was there, it seemed, pretty much, with kids our kids' age. I think maybe they saw us picking up, so then they picked up. We picked up trash, we went around, we did those things while our kids were playing. It seems that the people that are using it now maybe just aren't used to doing that. So the upkeep was being done by the parents who were using the playground all the time with their kids. And now, I don't think it hasn't kept up. And I'm not bringing my kids there anymore, so I'm not picking up I'm not picking up the broken toys and picking up the trash that's left. And there was trash that was left around. And I'm not pulling weeds. So I think that part of the issue is that there's just a new batch of parents who are not doing those things and haven't been doing them for a while. Because the town wasn't upkeeping the interior of that playground when I was using it 10 years ago. But, so there's just a different,
Anecdotally, at
yeah.
least, like, we'll go and come back with a whole bag of trash.
Yeah.
But there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
So it may just be that the people who go still do that kind of thing, but there just aren't as many people going. And maybe that's a vicious cycle of the state of it, fewer people go and,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not everybody, but it's like, well, there's weeds because people aren't pulling them, but I remember pulling weeds, and I remember picking up trash, and I remember tidying up the sandbox area, and all of that stuff. I did that kind of stuff while my kids were playing.
But maybe there's just an opportunity then to put some signage there that just reminds everybody that it's a public.
and anecdotally, again, and selfishly, like, two little boys love all broken trucks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I'd rather they still be there.
Well,
Yeah.
I know at some point it's a mess more than it is.
I think the
like,
challenge is
consider
when you
it.
start to see on social media, people are posting pictures, this is how it looks, broken toys. You know, where's the happy medium in all of that? Or maybe you just, it is what it is.
Yeah, I
and-
mean, I'm sure you're not letting them play with things that are dangerous. You would
Right.
throw those things away.
Yep.
But yeah, Denise is right. Those things are not provided by the town. They were things that people have left there. And if they're really beyond use, people should be picking them up. The people who are using it. And I mean, I would go in sometimes and somebody would have had their birthday party and left the entire thing there. And I would go clean up the tablecloth and everything else because that was what was left there from the day before. Because there were people who did it then too, but again, I was there pulling weeds, I was there doing all those things with my kids, so I wasn't the only one. So I just feel like, you know, for something's happened in the last 10 years since I'm not using it anymore and Janine's not using it anymore, that we don't have that same batch of people using it who were
Same batch of,
upkeeping.
same batch of parents who are upkeeping it.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, yeah. I didn't expect anybody to clean up after myself, and I expected when I went there that I might be cleaning up after somebody else, I guess. So it's different. There's a different batch of people.
Okay, anything else on Bolton?
No. Nope, so we're on to Chase Park.
Yep.
So we did get some attendance. Records. So we do have some attendance and some financial records. They're a little more up to
I didn't get any attendance records.
Parks and receipt tallies. It's from, you didn't get this one?
Oh, attendance records mean to me,
Sorry, receipt tallies.
all right, I have that.
Okay,
When you said attendance records, I thought you meant attendance.
sorry. I'm a teacher. I take attendance every morning. It's on my brain.
So we reviewed this at last month's meeting,
Yeah.
and nothing really much has
I don't think
changed.
anything has changed.
No.
There's a little bit from 9/24.
Right.
There were a lot of boats, so the last couple weekends, when I've talked to Kristen, it's been really busy with boats coming out of the water.
Yeah. I was there yesterday with Chase Park. The bathrooms are all winterized. The electric is shut off inside and on the back of the house for the water pump. The electric to the gatehouse is still on because we need to keep it for, the radio tower that's at the lake. Other than that, it's all locked up it'll be locked up until ice fishing season gets underway, and then we'll unlock the gates, but everything else will remain winterized until next spring. Dumpster has been clean, dumpster was dumped out today and,
Canceled. Thank
or
you.
put on hold until next May.
Yep.
So that way we don't have to pay, they keep the dumpster just sits there. So, but I mean, I don't think it's ever gotten more than a quarter of the way full all winter long. No one really ever uses it. So that's a good thing, because, you know, it doesn't get dumped. Fence was repaired. We do have, you know, the lifeguard, you know, in the class reimbursement, did he-
Oh, yeah, the class reimbursement
I thought we
request.
did that I thought we approved that last month.
Sorry. We did not approve it because it wasn't end of season, so we can.
Yep.
Do you, I have to look at how many hours he worked, hold on. Right here. Do you remember what the hour requirement was?
I don't remember.
There were a lot of days that we had to cancel, so I think we're in the same boat we were last year.
Yeah.
I think we need to approve that
Yep, I agree.
and then, get that check in process for him.
Okay.
But I need to, did he send in, he was supposed to submit to PARC his receipt.
I don't remember seeing anything from him.
Do we know how much it's going to be?
That's why. Did he send it? Hold on, I'm looking. Bless you.
September 13th.
He did.
$395.
Was the total?
$395.
Was the total amount for the class?
Yes.
So it would be half of that.
197.50.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Where does that come out of?
Water safety.
Yeah, I think it was water safety. Yep. All right, so, can I make a motion that we reimburse that lifeguard for $197.50 for, which is half of,
The second half of his,
it is the first half of his, class, his, certification class. And then we'll be out of the water safety line. Is that, can I make that motion?
Yep.
second. All in favor?
Do we
Aye.
have discussion? Don't we have discussion after?
Thought we already kind of discussed it, but okay.
Well-
I'm willing to pay him. I mean,
I'm not willing to pay him, but I think, you know, we're making motions to pay. We have obligations without that in it, greater than $4,500 between now and the end of the year. We don't have $4,500 left in the budget. So, I mean, I think we definitely, it's an obligation that we have. But before we advance that motion,
Yeah, is there
I
any
think we
discussion?
have to have the budget discussion about what we're gonna do, because we don't have $197 to pay him based on the obligations that we currently have. And I have some thoughts on that as we talk about the budget process, but I think we just have to be careful to advance a motion if we don't have the money to pay.
Yeah, I think we have a commitment already made to pay that money, though. That's my, that's,
One possible option, I mean, we could rob Peter and pay Paul and say, hey, we'll pay you zero. Offer him this, not mandate it, but we'll pay you zero this year and $450 next year.
that's part of that discussion would be for later.
So, I was gonna bring this up when we got to the budget on the agenda. But is there the opportunity to, so we have a revenue account for repairs. Is there an opportunity to move all of the repairs of the gates, which were, I believe, $4,000 worth of repairs we made to the gates this season? Could we advance a request to the select board to take money out of that revenue account to cover the cost of the fence repairs, which would then put $4,000 back in here to meet our obligations between now and the end of the year? I mean, one of the things that we didn't do during the course of this year is, because we didn't know how much revenue was gonna be in that account, we didn't talk about using the revenue account for repairs, which is what it was set up for. Is there the opportunity to, rather than pay for those repairs out of the operating budget, to go to the, I think anything that comes out of the revenue budget has to be approved by the select board?
Yes.
I don't think it's an unreasonable request. I don't know the, legality of it. I would be, if Beth gave a thumbs up, I'd be totally
Yeah.
confident in that.
So would you be okay if we ran that by Beth?
Yeah.
And then you could take it to the select board?
So, I think we'd all agree that we don't wanna set that precedent of, we're gonna squeeze this every single year to make up for a mistake or
Yeah,
what have
yeah.
you. This is just we're in this situation, we're gonna correct it this way,
Correct.
more this year than anything.
Yeah. Well, I think when we have the budget discussion later in the agenda, we have to have a discussion about how we're more careful as we go through the year approving repairs. I think this year, because we've never had a revenue budget, we weren't sure what we'd have in it. Going forward, I think that we have to think about how do we use that revenue budget to do the repairs to the different parks if we need it, because that's part of the reason it was established, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a reasonable request, as long as Beth agrees.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't we table paying him until we have the discussion with Beth, and maybe we'll pay it next month. Approve to pay it next month.
I mean, I'm not against moving the motion forward, I just wanted to make sure we had a discussion.
Yeah, I really think that we need to pay this and have it be over and all set. It's an obligation that we pay it, because we said we would if they worked enough hours, and I think they would have hit that hourly, whatever, I don't remember exactly what the mark was, but given what happened last year with another lifeguard in a similar situation and with rain days, it needs to get paid. So I'm not comfortable with having it with another month.
So we have a motion on the floor. That's been seconded, so we can vote on it. I just wanted the opportunity to have the discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I understand that money is an issue. I just think that we already have the obligation to pay it.
If I had a vote, I would vote in favor of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so should we all vote then?
Sure.
Okay, so I made the motion, you seconded. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and I will email Beth about that right now.
So do you want to do all of the budget stuff in closed session?
What would,
Well,
what would allow for non-public?
Discussions on specific employees would allow for, and I can't remember the number, I'd have to get there, but right now I'm trying to email Beth.
I did, I wrote it down.
want to be
It's-
careful that we don't put too much under that blanket.
Yep.
I think that I had
We
re-
use A and C.
requested that we go into non-public for a specific discussion on the salaries, the salary and wage issues that occurred in this year's budget, because I think it is gonna require specifically talking about individuals and their salaries. Not so much that I felt the budget development had to go into non-public.
Can't get this thing to work.
We haven't had any discussion about how or why we went over budget with our salaries this year.
I don't know that we can go into non-public, just because that's public information, individual salaries, whatnot. If-
Unless
If
you're
it were
speaking about
adversely-
specific people.
Well, you know, the one would be dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, I wouldn't do that. And then,
No, it's not.
otherwise it'd be C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the public body itself, unless such person requests an open meeting.
I think it's that one. That last one you read.
Okay, so I mean, if it comes down to, hey, an individual messed up, sure. That's fine.
So we need to get through the rest of our,
Agenda.
is there anything else in the agenda first?
We have the seniors.
So what do we, so the budget for due, the budget for 2024 is due October 20th.
Right?
Are we gonna have a work session to discuss that? I mean, we just got it in the mail, email. I mean, we just got it the other day.
We're going to need,
You need to do it.
we're going to need to do a work session, I think.
I don't see that we have time here tonight,
No.
and that's due to her by October 20th.
So should we meet can we meet next week? Or later this week?
I am out the whole rest of this week until Monday.
Well, we can go through the numbers. I mean, it really comes down to is, we have to figure out how many bodies we're actually putting on at any one time. Because 2.5 bodies is really not, you can't schedule a half a person. It's just physically
Nobody's scheduling, yeah, that's a whole other, we're not scheduling half a person. It's when we have 5 people there that's the problem. It's not when we have 3, or when we have 2, or when we have 1, because that's how we get our 2.5. It's when we have 5. And sometimes there's been too many there.
Well, we have a whole budget sheet. It's not
That we have
just,
to, and we have to use hers, right?
well, we have, a dozen line items.
It's
that
not
we-
just wages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a dozen line items
We
here
need to do this
that
another
we have
night.
to talk about
Okay.
and make some decisions on. I mean, I had, just to be able to see, some of the basic services, I think we just have to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm happy to come back down again next week.
Next, hold on, look at my calendar. Can we do Tuesday? Is there, a room available, Salem?
Let me check calendar.
Does that time work for anybody else?
That works for me.
I can do the 17th.
There's nothing, the only thing on the calendar for next Tuesday the 17th is board fireworks.
I actually can't check my full calendar because my phone won't connect to the internet here for some reason, at all, even though I have 3 bars.
We just updated all that, so it's going through some growing pains.
Yeah.
But
Do you
board-
have a
board
password?
Fireworks is 6 PM. I do have a password.
Can I hand my phone over to you?
Sure. Let me look it up.
if we have a budget, just a working session to develop the budget, yeah, that doesn't have to be, yeah.
I'm looking at the guest one, right?
Yep.
It's not. It showed up a minute ago. Hang on,
Could still type it in manually.
hang on.
Yeah, like if you do other, and then it's, yeah, we're th dash guest.
Hang on. I missed it.
While we're waiting on them, do you have an update, Denise, on the senior meal for the?
I do, but going, are we done with the budget?
We're coming back, we're gonna come back to that in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I met with the Ware Middle
Doesn't have
School
that
today.
Yep,
They are more than happy to partner with us to do a holiday meal for the seniors. They will, they're gonna use their student council, their fax class, fax is their, in the old days, what we'd call home ec. The woman who leads the band and the choir was there. They would provide music. They've tentatively asked that if we could do it December 6th from 4 to 6 p.m. What I told them is when I had to bring it back here, because it would, you know, I'm more than happy to continue to spearhead it. Just want to make sure that we would all, you know, engage in helping out. And again, it comes back to the budget discussion. We need to be able to commit money to buy the food. They'll prepare it and all of those things, but we need to provide the funding for food and tablecloths and things like that. I've talked to both the Ware Rights and Hands in Hands. Both seem supportive of doing this and would help us publicize it. The school did ask that if we could keep it between 30 and 50 people. So we might have to do a sign-up, first come, first serve. They really can't accommodate more than 50. It would be probably more than they could do. So I mean, I guess it's, the next step is just, you know, originally we talked about doing this instead of doing holiday baskets and all of that. So, I mean, I think we've got their commitment. They've picked a date.
Are we allowed to spend the money now, though? No, because it's, I don't think we can because we're frozen.
Right, but if we had the discussion about,
Ahead of time, is it, how does that work? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
well, I go back to if we could cover the cost of the fences.
Well, the fencing was,
Non-essential spending will need to cease.
so the fencing happened before we were told that we were, like, we started.
No, so I come back to the conversation, the question I just asked you. If we could cover the cost, the fencing, under our revenue,
fencing repairs and the gate
that puts
repairs.
4,000 back, that gives us 8,000 to get through the end of the year. If we can
if
do
that
that,
applies, yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah.
So we'd have to get an answer from Beth and the select board. because I did tell the school I would try to get back to them by the end of the week or early next week.
Yeah, there's no way we won't meet until next
Yeah.
month.
And, you're gonna have to, I think Kristen's turning in the final payroll things this week, so you won't even have final payroll numbers till next Thursday or Friday anyway.
And I did talk to Beth about the payroll because I didn't know if we needed to just cease, but because we had to finish and get in the lines and we had to finish up the last, she considered that essential. So we had to do payroll.
If we're gonna meet next week and talk budget, I would propose that spending like that has not already been committed previously, should just wait till that meeting. And we sort all this out, and then we say, okay, great, we have the money available, let's make a motion at next week's meeting, or if we don't even.
Because I think that no decision at a meeting was made, but, I assumed we were not able to do the pumpkin hunt this year because of the budget freeze. So is that assumption correct?
Seems not essential.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And I was honest with them today that we had some budget issues that I hope that maybe we'd be able to get around, but if we couldn't, then this might be something that would have to wait till next year. If we could find a solution, the nice thing is, it's a way to engage Parks and Rec with the school, with the community, with the seniors. And it's something that the seniors look forward to having something done at the holidays, you know?
Yeah, I think.
So that's,
If we have an agenda for next week,
Yeah.
it would be discuss budget, and then
Yeah.
that'd be number 2.
okay, all right.
Just make sure it doesn't slip on that.
So tentatively, if we have the money, the school is willing to set aside December 6th from 4 to 6 p.m.
And I think that that's probably our most important thing, if we have money to spend on, because the seniors get so little out of the whole, they get some, of course, and we have seniors that are using other places, but that one line item, I think it would take precedence over some other things.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
So we'll move on to Inison.
So we're gonna come back while we're still in public session to budget?
Yes.
Okay.
So Inison, there's no new business. Purington, there's nothing new on Purington. The gazebo benches need to be repaired.
I did go down, there was a group using the gazebo field, and I noticed 2 weeks in a row that there were kids climbing all over. So I went down last week and I spoke with the adults there, who admitted it was their group of kids that were swinging from those decorative pieces at the top, which are definitely not meant to hold weight. It just is helpful to stop in, so if anybody sees that kind of thing happening, please stop in. They were very nice about it, and they said that they would make sure that they discussed it with the kids, and it wouldn't happen again. I have noticed some after school, during times I haven't been able to stop, so if I notice that, I think it might be the after-school program, I'm gonna stop next time, and try to find the appropriate adults. Because they're really using it like a jungle gym. There's a sign right out front that says that that's not meant for that use, so. And the gazebo is just, it's not made for that.
Okay. And then the East Road, we kind of had a public comment this morning, at the beginning of the meeting. And we're kind of still working through this.
So the status right now is, and I think I sent you guys all the documents that I provided to the select board of the things that we discovered on that property, including, so I provided for them the warranty deeds, the fiduciary deeds, the warrant article, the vote, the public comment. I could find no documents governing any restrictions other than some of the gravel and so on and so forth. I have been able to speak directly to 3 engineering firms. 2 definitely are gonna be sending me a proposal that would sort of spanned a 3 to 5 year period. The third engineering firm wants us to sign a contract and pay them to do that proposal. And I told them that, you know, I said, you could tell me what you thought the cost would be, but we're not gonna pay for anything, particularly since the other two are gonna do it for free. But what I'm hoping is, what they do is they do this for other towns. They provide you enough information that you can go to budgeting with that. I'm hoping that they both kind of indicated that they would try to get something to me by the end of this week. But all three firms are New Hampshire firms that do have experience with municipalities in building recreational fields and those kinds of things. I also had a conversation with Beth and Naomi, and I just printed this out for I sent it to Beth. So, as my sense from the selectmen is that we kind of keep moving forward until we find out from legal, because at some point, if we do find out we can move forward, we need to have everything in order for the budget cycle. If I needed to create a warrant article, so I discovered that there's already a capital reserve fund that was voted by the community.
And the money's not been spent?
The money has been, well, nobody knows how much money's in it, but I'm guessing.
The fund exists, is your point.
Yeah, so I had a choice of creating a warrant article that says, you know, ask the town to create a capital reserve fund
Sure.
and then fund it.
Or fund an existing fund.
Right, Beth didn't think that ever got voted in, but I went back through I started going back through the town reports and discovered that it was voted in, so that if we already have an existing capital fund for the development of athletic fields, then the warrant article, and I've already crafted the language based on what we hear, leaving just a space marker from amount, that we could create a warrant article to go forward this year to fund the engineering and initial design of the field, and whatever that number is that we could plug in, you know, that they tell us. So I've kind of got everything lined up to go. It would be dead in the water if legal comes back and says there's nothing we could do, but if legal came back and said this is a viable,
Then we have one already started.
then we at least would have language ready
Thank
to
you for
go.
telling me that, James.
So I sent that to Beth. Naomi was the one who had emailed me and mentioned that she thought there was an existing fund. Beth didn't think there was, so then I emailed that to Beth so that she would at least have, she didn't get back to me, but at least knowledge that it existed. So that's from 2005. It was,
Is this for me to keep?
yeah, it
Can I
is,
start writing
yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for
I
finding
did,
that.
the reason I gave it to you is if it does come back up at the select board meeting,
Yep.
that at least you know that there seems to be an existing capital reserve fund instead of creating a whole new one. So that's kind of where we are at this point. I'm moving forward. The selectmen kind of said move forward as if we're gonna go for a warrant article until we hear from legal that we may or may not be able to do that. If you look at the warrant article that was voted on, 12 acres were to be set aside for athletic fields, and there is no specification of where on the property,
Oh, okay,
and then 8 acres for gravel.
okay, that was the warrant article, but do we have the deed yet?
I provided the warranty deed and the fiduciary deed that was filed with the state.
Yeah,
And neither one of those deeds have any restrictions on where anything could be
Okay.
located. The other thing is, I think the town thought the whole property was in conservation. That piece of property and the property right beside it, where the red barn sits,
yeah,
was never put into conservation. So both are listed by the state as unofficial conservation land.
okay,
And the tax, if you look at the warrant article that was passed, it basically said 8 acres for gravel, 12 acres for athletic fields, and 117 acres in conservation. But it never specified
Where?
where.
Yeah. And hasn't it been, what did they say, something about 10 years?
That's on
To
the
get-
gravel.
Remember that.
Because,
That was on the gravel.
but to get the gravel out,
I
it's
thought
been
that
more
was
than
to-
10
That was
years.
to start it, though. Maybe it sounded like it was to end it. I remember
So-
it was to start it.
This is why I think it's important that we get legal input, because as I said to the selectmen, I went to the registry of deeds, I went to the town office, got all papers out of the files, minutes to conservation meeting, all of those things. Nowhere in there was there any restrictions. Now, I saw it on other properties, no athletic fields could be built, blah, 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 blah. Did not see that on this property. I'm not saying there isn't, but it's not in the warranty.
Sorry,
deed.
Naomi's asking. I don't know what she means by this. No?
I don't know if they're interviewing people or, so anyways, I think it would be a matter of waiting from legal. I did send an email to Naomi on Monday just to ask if she's heard anything. But again, she's been out of the office until tomorrow, so I didn't assume that I would know anything. I am scheduled on the agenda for the Conservation Committee tomorrow, just to kind of bring them up to date
Yep.
as to where we are and get a sense from them. Two of the
A lot
members
of them were, yeah.
Two of the members were there when this one transpired, so they would also be able to provide probably some information that we may not have had, or documents that I'm unaware of.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are
Thank you
right now.
for
Okay.
researching all of that.
And just on a side note, I felt like it was a very positive reception from the Board of Selectmen in terms of an opportunity to use.
Yeah, they know that we're in trouble, that we've been
Well,
in trouble for years,
I
so I
think-
think they're aware.
I think the other thing that, and I've heard this from the public, I've received emails who heard my presentation
Yeah.
at the board meeting, and people who've stopped me at the tennis courts. I think the sense that the town of Ware has purchased a lot of conservation land with taxpayer dollars, in the opportunity to start to be able to use it for something is on a lot of people's mind. So this would, if there was opportunities here, it's an opportunity to be able to
Yeah.
show that the investment into conservation land is also getting some use other than just hiking and,
Yeah, it's giving back to the
yeah,
community.
so.
We all know that the kids are kept busy.
And I
using
do
their
think,
properties or
I do
not
think
getting
we'll
in trouble.
have people from the public on both sides. I mean, my thought eventually would be that having a public hearing would probably be a really good thing to get input. I did speak to all three engineering firms and said, when you look at what you would propose on this, we need to be sure parking isn't intrusive to the street, to the abutters, that we need to develop parking so we don't have people lined up all down the road.
Yes.
So again, trying to be sensitive to what the folks in the neighborhood might be feeling. I did not ask about any lighting or anything like that. It was just
Yep.
basic
Yep.
fields and maybe a storage facility, that kind of stuff.
And
But
everybody saw it's a good opportunity to consolidate,
tennis court and,
potentially the tennis
Fields
court,
and-
potentially, just instead of spreading out more
Yeah.
and more
Mhm.
duplicate ones.
Can I, sorry, are we all set with that one?
Yep.
Right now, I wanna circle back to pumpkin hunting, is it okay for me to put something on our Facebook page just saying
That this year's pumpkin hut is canceled due to budget restrictions? Is that fair, that wording?
That's fair.
Okay.
So now we're gonna circle back to the budget.
Naomi's messaging me, but my messages to her aren't going through, so.
So I had some questions about, when we look at the overages, not salaries at this point, but the non-salary line items. So for example, the line item for park repairs. So I had asked, Beth to send me, like the details of what's been spent. And, I mean, I think I feel like we have to learn a lesson from what's happened this year, so this doesn't happen to us again next year. So, I think we all agreed and voted to fund the fencing repair. We voted motions and voted on it. And we voted to have it come out of a line item that did not have enough funds in it to begin with. So I felt like we were voting on motions and not maybe really spending enough time talking about where the money was gonna come from.
Yeah, I think because we have historically, just used it out of other line items if we've needed to, and we really do need to sit down and make this budget more succinct. And maybe even just a description of what things actually are to cover.
Correct. The other thing I noticed in that, and I think you'd mentioned this before, Lisa, but it kind of stood out at me. A ton of purchases from Country Three Corners. In addition to a credit card bill of $370 from Citizens Bank.
And I'm not sure about that.
And I don't know who
What
has
is
a
that
credit
credit card?
card and.
I don't have, nobody has a credit card, so where was that?
So on Parks and Rec repairs, that line item, I asked Beth to send me, there were, there was almost $800 worth of expenditures to Country Three Corners.
Yeah, and I sign off on those because I'm making an assumption when I sign off that whoever's been there has been approved. I think we need to bring that in because there were a lot of that I did not know what they were for. So we really truly need for it to go through one or maybe two people on this board and nobody else making any purchases there.
Or we at least at our meetings have what is needed presented here, so we have an opportunity to say, yes, go ahead and purchase it.
Because I've really been to Country 3 very little this year.
I know I purchased 2 padlocks for the
Yeah.
tennis courts, but that was approved here. But when I saw all these, there's one purchase here for $202. There's a purchase for $117.
And what does it say next to that $202 purchase?
It just says Country Three Corners, and it doesn't tell you what,
Yeah, so
who or what.
when I do it, I always say this is for Chase Park or whatever. So like at the beginning of the season, I think this year I did buy, I think a rake and a shovel. And it was because we needed those things.
Right.
That would be, that rake and the shovel would say for Chase Park. And they then are, when they're at Chase Park, they are labeled as Chase Park property, right on the handle.
I think my greater point is almost $800 worth of charges at Country Three Corners that we've not talked about at all here. $370 on a credit card.
I don't understand
that there's nobody here aware of who has a credit card and what can be charged against it.
Nobody has a credit card.
It says,
I don't even have a personal Citizen Bank card.
It says Citizens Bank credit card, $369.99.
$360.
And that was charged May 24th. And again, I can reach out to Beth to see if we can get details on that, but my broader point in this is that we as a board are making motions to make expenditures to repair.
Yeah, and that one is the one that I don't even know about.
Repair things, and that's appropriate. At the same time, we have people making purchases that we're unaware of, and we're spending, we don't even know if we have the money to spend, and we're making motions to spend it. So I think we have to have a better process at these meetings to each month review what has been spent, what do we have left, and who has the ability to just walk into Country 3
And buy something.
and buy something. And if you are getting receipts, should we be talking about them here, so at least we have a sense?
I agree.
Because and I did ask Beth for, I don't think she had a chance to get it to me. I had asked her for the same detail expenditures under park maintenance, 682, because we've spent $2,200 there, and I'm not sure what hits under park maintenance.
And I think we need to, we're park repairs and park maintenance, we need to, I think that the park maintenance is like toilet paper and paper towels and all of that stuff that we use at the park, I think. But we need to, that's where I'm saying, we need specific things. What does this include in our budget? Within the line, and not for nothing, but I can't keep track of things when my computer doesn't work here. We've got everything set up so that we can do this budget within our Google account, but I haven't been able to sign on to that Google account here for months. It won't, I have no internet connection. I don't even on my phone right now have an internet connection that'll work. I can't send messages back and forth. So, that is not good for us, because those things need to happen during these meetings, where it's like, okay, quick, I'm updating this. Simple things like how much we spent on the t-shirts for, all of that was in a form in Google last year, and I haven't had access to it this year. Not when I'm here.
So I mean, I guess my point is just, we can't fix what's already broken.
But we need
We
to,
have to fix the process going forward, or
definitely.
we're gonna be back in the same boat. And I think,
I thought last year we also, didn't we ask them for didn't we ask them for a porta potty line? Or is that just classified as outside services?
that's outside services. I
Yeah.
think
We had rubbish, and we said, no, we want it labeled like porta potty, so we know exactly what we're spending on.
But that's
Porta
what, I think that's what she's saying, is that we can go ahead and we can change these things. We need to do it on best form, but we need a special meeting to do this.
Okay.
we also, I think what we talked about at the last year's meeting is that we upped those line items in last year's budget because those services had gone up.
And they've gone up more.
And I did ask Beth to send me, what our obligations are between now and the end of the year. So we have the porta potties, trash removal, telephone, electricity, wages for the director, Medicare for the director, FICA for the director, and then we just added the lifeguard. I added that all up. Our obligations without the lifeguard in there is $4,545.58 on a budget that we only have 4,000 left
Yep.
in. So I
And the
do.
Porta potties, though, the porta potties are about to get canceled except for the tennis courts.
They delivered a new one,
Well, they had to, that's a whole,
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
messaged everybody about
but
that.
if we're gonna close the courts on December 1st,
Or November,
I
right?
mean November, then the porta potties can go away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also the telephones, has gone up because
stupid.
of the Wi-Fi piece, so, now we're spending.
I think we need to cancel it, to be honest. It's $130 a month.
We lost a lot of money on that.
I just think it's too much, it's way too much money out of our budget. I just think we don't need Wi-Fi there, if it's gonna cost that much. Because we're not able to use it for credit card, the whole idea was so that we could take credit cards to get money. We don't use that system we don't have a system that's up and running. I really just think we need to cancel the phone, except for just being a regular phone.
There's the whole discussion though about being able to use a phone now, and they ripped the copper out, and so they weren't
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, they told me they couldn't, I got into they told me they couldn't, they took the copper out, they said that's how it's gonna be anyway, this is how it's gonna work, they said we were gonna do that to the line anyway. none of it made any sense. I wrote a note for Beth, but I never heard back about it. But we need to do something. Maybe we don't need to have Granite State there. If we're gonna have Wi-Fi hooked up, can we do it through another provider?
Yep.
That where it would be just Wi-Fi calling, so it would be less expensive, I don't know.
And Comcast is still, I guess we need to schedule with them, but they'll give us a free drop there at least.
Yeah, so
The
maybe
free
that's-
drop is great, but what is it gonna cost me a month?
But I think even, I don't disagree with you, and that was $320 more than budget. But the greater issue here is, you know, we overspent by way more than $300 on
Yep.
things that I think we just didn't stop and ask each month. I mean, maybe we need to see each month more detail for each line item. And we're gonna be talking later about, you know, how do we go
Yeah,
$8,000 over budget? I mean, that was,
On a rainy summer.
that was the kicker right there.
yeah.
Upstairs?
We,
Oh.
we've got a missing applicant, so we just want to make sure.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
here before we-
Yeah, I did try to message Naomi back, but I have no cell phone service and my phone will not connect to the internet in this building.
No worries.
So I did try to message her back.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So I think my point is just that we need to have a better plan going into next year.
Absolutely.
At each meeting, the expenditures, and I do think we need to
We didn't-
have a plan on how to use the revenue account, because the whole intent of the revenue account was to allow us to do fixes that we haven't otherwise been able to do, because we haven't had enough money. And in hindsight, the $4,000 in fence repairs would have been a perfect
Out of the revenue account.
out of the revenue account, because that's what it was voted to be able to do, to allow us to take these unexpected larger expenses.
I don't think
in the
they're,
repairs.
the fence repairs are not unexpected, you know, we need to do them for safety reasons and things like that, and that's where we really need to be using that account to say, hey, look, we need to, because the unexpected is the, whatever it was, $1,000 bill for
Septic.
septic.
And I agree with you,
I
saying
mean, so-
unexpected probably wasn't the right word, but
But the
the
money could
revenue
come.
account was there for us to start to make headway into repairs
Yep.
that otherwise kept getting deferred every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the gates were a perfect example, because we had been deferring them.
We just got
And made a
frustrated and did it.
decision this year to fix them, to help protect our assets. And in hindsight, it would have been probably the better thing to do, would have been to take those
Yeah.
expenditures to the board and request the use of the revenue money to do that. And I think we should have a plan next year, you know, of how we might be able to use that money also to continue to make headway with repairs to our parks.
Yes.
And also for like the wood chips that we're desperately in need of doing things like, okay, we're gonna spend it on the, we've got money in there, we can go buy the wood chips that we need to buy and
Right.
make the parks more safe and things like that.
I agree. I really do think that we need to consolidate this list and then
And
actually
I
be
think-
very specific
I
about
think
what
we
they're
have to
for.
have more guidelines around who can spend.
Where, yeah, because I don't know if I don't know. I'm like, okay, there's spending that happened at Country 3. I don't know who spent this money.
But see,
And,
that's,
yeah.
to me, that's problematic.
Very.
If you're,
Yeah.
if you're getting a receipt from Country 3 and you don't know who or what,
Mm-hmm.
and we're sitting here tonight, it's not Dave, it's not me, pretty sure it
Yeah.
wasn't Janine.
Yeah, we're, no, $369 for a credit card. I had no idea.
so
I
the-
never approved that. So
Okay.
I'm not sure what happened there.
But even the $700, $800 at Country 3, those receipts are getting approved, but nobody's questioning why.
Yeah.
What and why.
Yeah,
Could
and
any of those, but,
Yeah.
No, I mean, the only thing that I know that I spent this past weekend was the supplies to close the park.
Right.
So it was the antifreeze that we had to
Yeah, I
buy,
don't have that yet, so.
which we had to buy to close the park, and that we both, I talked to,
Yeah, we talked.
we talked
first.
about it, and we both deemed it, yeah, it's essential, otherwise, we gotta put
Broken
the,
pipes.
we're gonna have broken pipes and a whole bunch of
Yeah.
other stuff, or
and
broken
those,
toilets.
But that's different.
those expenditures are essential, but still as a commission, as a board,
We need to
we
talk about
should
it, yeah.
be making sure so that we know when we go to vote
Yeah,
to expend money
Mm-hmm.
on something, we know what our obligations already are.
yeah, no, I agree. We haven't historically gone over every single penny. However, we haven't historically had multiple people purchasing things. It's been one or two people and that's it. So, that's where this gets out of hand. There was something else that just came up that was on the tip of my tongue too, and I don't remember what it was now. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. I totally lost my train. Oh, I know what it was. We haven't gotten a list of expenditures. I had no idea that we were above budget with wages. Not a clue. That is something I would have thought that we would have known the end of July, if we were pushing that envelope or halfway through our budget the end of July. I thought I would have known. We didn't have for 2 months apparently the printouts. So,
Well, I think that this time tracking sheet that we got, we should be getting, once the park opens, this is something that we should be looking at every meeting.
yes, agreed.
Because then we would be able to keep some sense of what's happening with wages. To see this after, and there's more, I want to point out when we're in non-public, but I have some concerns over some of these things. But anyways, I think that the time tracking should be given to us monthly, along with the budget. And we should have greater access, even if it's just mailed to us every month, the details of some of these accounts. Because that credit card bill hit back in May, and I don't think any of us were aware.
No.
And so now we're finding out.
How did that even, who has a credit card? Because to my knowledge, none of us have a credit card.
So I will reach out to Beth and see if I can find out what that was, and I'll email everybody. But so I guess I would just like to get the commitment, and I'm sure we'll all agree, that moving forward, as we start next year, let's be more diligent in looking at all of these documents and making sure that this doesn't happen again. And maybe setting a little bit of a plan at the beginning of the year of how we might use the revenue account for the larger expenditures, so if emergencies do come up, we have the capacity in our budget to fulfill them.
Yeah.
So that was really all I wanted to kind of talk about on the budget.
I agree. Can we make a date to get together for next week? And again, because I don't have access to my full calendar,
I thought we said the 17th.
we're gonna try for the 17th, okay. So it's 7 or 6?
Let's go for 6.
Yes, please. Is that all right with you?
Earlier is better. If you can do, I'd rather do 6 and be done.
I would too. Can we do
Can
6
you guys do
p.m.?
6?
Next Wednesday, the 18th.
No, the 17th,
17th.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I can make it work.
Thank you. It would be great too if we have, it sounds like there's forms that she wants us to use, so if we have access to the internet, that would be really helpful. So,
So I can
have
give
a-
you my hotspot. I've been using the internet since we've been here.
I have a hotspot too, but I can't even get my phone to work. This I can use the internet on, but I'm not sure if I can, because this is enabled. For some reason, it's gonna, let me see if it actually works in here without the, yeah, I have access on here, but I don't have access on the computer. So, because this is, on a plan. But I'm not sure if I can get to the Google Forms the same way on this. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Denise, just so you're aware, the conservation meeting was canceled for a month.
Oh, it was?
It will be postponed, TBD next week. So,
Sometime next week?
yeah, TBD.
Okay. Did that just happen?
Half an hour ago.
Oh, okay, maybe I got an email. Ah, so I got a free evening. Wow,
Okay.
thank you for telling me that.
Is there anything else for public before we go to non-public?
I had one,
Yes.
oh, we never did Chase, I want to go back to one thing on Chase Park. When I was at the select board meeting, Jason was there. He pulled me aside and asked me if we'd marked the trees. He was ready to cut them, but I think we agreed at the last meeting, somebody was gonna go put a yellow ribbon around them.
They're already marked.
They're
There's already
marked.
an orange type on them, and there's orange spray paint on some of them. There's some down by the dumpster, there's some, the main ones that are concerned are the ones that are right by the front gate, that if they came down, they could come down on the wires and take out that
So,
radio tower.
so I'm asking the question that Jason asked me. If he went in there with his crew tomorrow, they clearly marked that they would see the trees.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if he has questions, I'm a mile away. If he wants to meet at a certain time and says, hey, come show my guys what ones you
well,
want.
we had agreed at the last meeting that somebody was gonna go down there and put yellow ribbon around the trees.
They're marked with orange,
So.
but they're marked. They're very clearly marked. They got big orange X's on them.
Righty. And just under new business, are we gonna talk at some point about the replacement of Janine? And,
Well, we actually have Janine to replace, and we still have one open position
yeah,
to replace.
how do we go put out public notice and see if anybody's interested?
Yeah, that's not formal, but we can put some on the town website, put some on the town Facebook. Recently, we've also leaned on the PD Facebook, so a long reach.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, and people can come before the commission and
Yeah, we
that's
need,
gonna,
you're right, it's not just Janine, it's also,
So I think we need to make
At
it
least.
publicly known, we're looking for 2 positions. I think we have 3 positions expiring in 2024. If you look on the website,
so it'll be
Me.
yours, his.
and
and Pam.
Janine might have been the 3rd one.
Janine was the third. Pam is technically not even, Pam and I were offset by a year, so I don't, but hers technically hasn't been renewed, so hers is basically, yeah, mine was in the COVID year, and I know I redid mine during the COVID year, I did mine, but Pam and I were off by a year, so.
So we've
But
got,
Pam,
we need people.
Pam, we needed to look at too, and then we have Janine.
the website was Pam is 2022 and everybody else 2024. So it's probably wrong.
So Pam should technically be, if she redid it in 2022, would be for 3 years, would be 2025.
I think Pam told us a couple months ago at this meeting that,
Should react.
yeah, that she'd been out or whatever, but, I mean, I think there's 2, trying to get the positions filled, and then we need to make sure we have chair, vice chair, all those things back in order
Yep.
again.
Yeah,
So we're gonna need to look at doing those things so that we set out the year,
I think
hopefully.
we just kind of volunteered for positions, or
Yes.
that was the deal, and then people voted? Is that how it happened, or was it?
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Basically,
So we,
Janine said she'd be chair, and I was fine with doing the vice chair. I think I should stay as vice chair just because of Chase Park and all the family people that I have, relation I have there. That way, there's someone,
yeah, it makes sense.
I hate to say it, that
Yeah, it makes sense.
technically outrights me, so.
So anyways, I think we just have to see if we can get a
Yeah.
push out to.
Maybe we wanna to maybe reach out to WAC and see if they have anybody who they could
Well,
recommend.
I think we could also use the Ware, there's a lot of chatter on the Ware Facebook
Facebook,
page.
Ware.
Yeah.
Because the folks who were supposed to be here tonight to talk about Bolton, I was hoping that maybe some of them might be willing to
I know,
join the committee, but.
but every
but-
time we have people that say they're coming, we get excited.
But that's okay, we have their contact name, and maybe we could just put it out to them to pass the word around that there are some vacancies, and
Yeah.
we're looking for folks, but I do think we should try to get 2 more members, because it would be nice when people are out of town or away to have that.
And you have to be a resident, you can't just be a landowner?
You have to be residing, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I think too, it's not just that, it wasn't just the fact that there's a temporary move. It's that, you know, this is exhausting.
Yes,
And, you know, it's hard to be as unappreciated as sometimes we can be for years on end. And I think there was a lot more, you know, part of the deal. So, so. Anyway.
okay.
All right, so that was the only other thing I wanted to add under new business.
Okay. So are we going to non-public?
Yes,
What is the number that we need?
hold on.
So I wrote it down, I think
Okay.
this is right. So I would make a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91:A-3, and I think it would be C
Yes,
being the reason. Is that,
Section 91A, subsection 3, paragraph 2, subparagraph C.
2C?
And then we do a roll call vote.
And then we will be not coming out of non-public, we will be adjourning after non-public. So this will be the end of the open session for this evening, October 10th, 2023.
So I made the motion, somebody would need to second
I
it.
second.
Roll call vote, Dave, yes?
Yes, aye.
Denise, yes.
Okay.
Shut it down.
Can I?
I think you have to wait.
Not quite yet.
No, you gotta wait.